From Griffith University, these are Remarkable Tales. Griffith University Journalism graduate Taylah Fellows is defying the trend of cutbacks to regional reporting by snaring an increasingly rare cadetship at new publication scone.com.au. While many regional publications are winding up, Taylah started her journalism career earlier this month, moving to the upper Hunter Valley town of Scone from the Gold Coast to take up the opportunity. Taylah is working full-time on local news and making sure the local community knows about everything from the great-grandmother turning 100 to what happened in court and concerns about how urgently needed road repairs will be funded. She tells us on this episode of Remarkable Tales how a Griffith University one-year overseas exchange gave her the confidence to move to the horse capital of Australia and how she could not have found a better start for her journalism career. Taylah, welcome to Remarkable Tales.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, Nance. I appreciate it.
Well, firstly, I think we've got to congratulate you on defying the trend in regional journalism. A lot of people are talking about the downfall of many of the publications in regional journalism, and you've defied that by getting a prized cadetship. Taylah, can you tell us all about how that happened?
Yes, I suppose it started in 2018. I just finished my studies overseas, abroad, and I came back in order to graduate, of course. And my great-grandmother, who actually lives in Scone, where I'm now based, she passed away, and I came down for her funeral. And that is where I met Liz, who is a distant cousin. Liz is the editor of scone.com.au, and she offered me a intern cadetship at that time. And I said, great, yeah, I'll come down and check it out. So we did that in 2018 for a few weeks. And we were waiting for, I guess, the long-term kind of your viable business plan to come through in order to get some sort of payment going. And that wasn't feasible at that time. And then COVID came along, good old COVID. And she rang me up and said, look, I reckon we can fill a gap in the regional journalism down here. We have a few publications that have closed down or they've had to take a break. And we've got spots open now where I can pay you and I can offer you a cadetship. And I said, fantastic. Obviously, I wasn't busy amongst COVID, and then here I am. So I came down pretty much immediately after that offer, and yeah, we got cracking straight away.
Two major Australian and global trends, really. You've defied the COVID as well as the downturn in regional journalism. But I suppose it does show, Taylah, that there are opportunities lying there if you look or if you're just in that right place at the right time.
Yeah, I think I was quite lucky, to be honest. Liz and I joke about how COVID's probably the best thing that ever happened to us. But yeah, a lot of people weren't as lucky, especially down here in regional journalism. A lot of people have been laid off. I've heard along the grapevine. So I guess it depends as well on your employer and how strong your business case was, whether or not you could survive. And unfortunately, a lot of the people down in regional journalism couldn't, and that's due to, advertising and all those other things that you need to keep your publication running. So yeah, I was really lucky to, I guess, be in the place at the right time, like you said.
Unpaid work experience still is pretty crucial, isn't it? I mean, you've got to show commitment. It's not just enough that you've got to differentiate yourself from all the other journalism graduates who are so desperate for their start in the industry as well.
Oh, 100%. And I think the biggest thing like that as well is when you are doing interning, or even if you're, part-time or casually employed or trying to freelance as well, doing that overtime. It's funny when I talk to my friends and they talk about like payment and wages and stuff, and I say, it's not a 9-to-5 job, journalism. You're getting up at 6 a.m., to listen to the radio, what happened when you were sleeping, and then you're working right through until when you need to stop, when you've got your interviews done, or if you need to transcribe at night time to be prepared for the next day. And it's those type of commitments, I think, that separates committed journalists from people who think they can just come in and write and that's all that needs to be done. Yeah, it's really a 24-hour kind of mindset that you need to be in.
Even in little old Scone, if that's the case, yeah?
Yeah, That's the thing. A lot of people say, oh, is there enough news? We get that question a lot. Oh my gosh, there's too much news sometimes. And things do get set back as well. You have plans for the day and something like a car crash may happen or, yeah, some minor thing. But those are the things that the community is also interested in. So you need to be able to drop everything you're doing and fit that into your schedule as well. So every day is a new day here. You can't really be fully prepared.
So tell us a bit about Scone for the people who aren't familiar with it.
Well, Scone is the horse capital. I think that's the most important thing. You've got a lot of people who have been here, quite honestly, their whole life. A lot of people know each other as well due to the population, which I think is only around, a few thousand, 7,000 or so. And then you've got neighbouring towns as well, which are quite close, which we also cover because they don't have their own publications. But Scone is a lovely place. It's beautiful out here, really. You've got a lot of nice pasture, a lot of paddocks, a lot of farms, and then a lot of small businesses, I suppose. It's the funniest thing is it's probably like things like McDonald's and stuff like that. You know, you move from the city, no more Uber Eats, no more fine dining restaurants, things like that. So it's all very, community based.
And you're just sort of behind the Hunter Valley there.
We're in the Hunter Shire.
So tell us a bit about the reinvention of the newspaper that you're working for. I mean, really, we can't call it a newspaper anymore, can we? But I think it's good for people to know that it is moving into that digital realm, that there is still local news being reported, because it sounds like, as you say, you've been incredibly busy getting out of the office and reporting stories as you should be.
We're an online publication. We've never been in print. A lot of print places around here have closed within the last 5 years or so. I think it's mostly the expense. And being able to move, especially like your elderly population, online and giving them those skills to be able to access online publications, that was a really important step in moving people towards the online platform, which is where most journalism is probably moving now for affordability.
Well, how are you finding it working for a totally digital publication? Did you feel ready for that, I suppose, from university, or has it been a pretty quick change?
I think I was pretty ready from university. We were told that we had to be diverse. I guess that was the main message that was brought out in my university training was you need to be able to be adaptable to different platforms if that's what you're asked to do. And coming into scone.com.au, we use Facebook and a lot of social media to get our platform, diversified between all the different people that are online. So, we have a lot of people using their mobiles now compared to desktop. And I guess you use Google Analytics and things like that to make sure you keep up with your target audience. So it wasn't too much of a change, but I think it's the fast pacedness of it. So always being prepared to write on something. I mean, we were writing about terrible comments that Michael Johnson made at 11 p.m. On Wednesday, because that was the timeliness of it. We needed to make sure that we got that story out as soon as possible because that was in the community's interest. So things like that, you always need to be prepared. Online, you don't have any excuses really. You can post whenever you want. So that's one benefit of it. But it does put in a lot of work because people expect you to be ready and have the news ready for you.
And then you've also got the important stories like Ethel Hayden turning 100. Don't underestimate that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the coolest thing about working in regional journalism is that direct effect. It can be good and bad because everyone knows each other here. So I guess the check and balance concept is kind of quite strong. And you're always reporting on things that are in the community's interest. So when you have someone in your community that turns 100, and I got to go and meet Ethel, and she was just the loveliest lady, and just hear about her life stories and to meet all the people that were celebrating her 100th birthday with her because the community values her. She was one of the pioneers in this area, literally since the 1800s. So things like that you don't get to do in Metro News, but here everybody loves to know about those stories because they know Ethel, basically.
It's something about being pretty much the only person in those regional towns or one of a very small newsroom at best. You get to go out and do a bit of everything, don't you? Like the sinkhole stories that you've been reporting on. This is important for people, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the sinkhole is one of my favourite stories that I've reported on so far. Pete Tullier, he's, I guess, one of our neighbours, really. And the best thing about these kind of stories is they will contact us. So I guess that's another difference between Metro. You'll get a lot of individuals that already know about your publication, and if they want to get a story out, they will make the effort to contact you and say, oh, this is happening, I think this is a worthy story. And that kind of gives you the essence of what the community is expecting or what they want from you. So it's really cool because you get a lot of diverse stories coming through to you from the public themselves. And then you get to go out and look at sinkholes in people's backyards, something I would have probably never done in my career until coming here, doing updates on that because people want to know, how's the sinkhole going? Oh, well, I'll tell you. I'll have to go and ask Pete about it.
I'll do a
follow-up. Just pop by. So,
and also doing the actually really important grassroots stories about dangerous roads. I mean, have you had that chance yet? I know you've only just started, but where you've seen the difference that your stories can make, that actually raising it onto a respected platform, that can bring change?
Oh, absolutely. I think one of the big gaps in regional journalism is that a lot of other publications, they would kind of copy media releases. And I was always told that was a big no-no when I was at university.
I want to shake the hand of all your teachers. Pardon? That's brilliant.
Yeah, exactly right. And so the thing that surprised me most is, I guess, that when you're in a regional area, how easy it is for you to go and be a part of the story and look at the story, meet the people. And so I take full advantage of that. I went out and looked at the road that you're talking about, Willow Tree Road, and I met the people who were worried about it. And it just gives you a different aspect of the story when you get to be directly involved in the community's concerns. And it was something that I read from a media release, that story, and questioned it. And then when I went to go write about it, more information surfaced. So that's a really good thing about regional journalism too, is in essence, you'll kind of have more time as well to really delve into stories and really get to the crux of the issue. And that's what we did with Willow Tree Road. And that story is still not over yet. So we will see the effect that comes from it, I suppose, and whether or not council or government will respond to the community's concerns that we reported in that story.
Well,
so
that's right.
It is satisfying in that way.
Because if it wasn't raised, then it's very easily ignored. I mean, it's really up to journalists such as yourself to shine the light on little corners. And, whether that is a dangerous road in the grassroots of regional journalism, it's as important as anywhere else, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I feel really lucky that we're able to serve the community in that way. I mean, that's the reason I got into journalism, was to be able to address community values, look at social aspects of communities and see why things are happening, why things make the news. It's one thing to report on negative things that happen that the community, needs to know about, but it's another thing to be able to not miss any information, to not look over anything, because everyone knows each other and there's always a direct effect when you find a piece of information. Someone in the region is being affected by that. So it's nice to be closer to the issues. Yeah.
And you mentioned that you went overseas before. Can we talk a bit more about that, Taylah? Because that was actually a Griffith University program, wasn't it? Can you tell us about that and how perhaps that affected your studies and your commitment to continuing into journalism? Yeah,
so I did a program called Europe and the World through Griffith as part of my third year of studies, and we went overseas and we spent 2 semesters abroad. The first semester was in the Netherlands, and the second was in Denmark. And don't make me pronounce the names of the schools because I could never in their languages. Still can't. I would have loved to learn a few languages there, but because we were a mixed class, we had other students. We had a combined class where we had journalists from all over Europe, as well as I think 5 to 6 or 7 Australians as well as part of the class. So we were all supposed to speak English to each other and help everyone else with their English skills. But it was a really great experience, and it really taught me a lot about on-the-go reporting as well, kind of finding my feet and sourcing my own stories. And I guess the only bad thing is it really set me up to be a great reporter in Europe. And here I am back in Australia. So it'd be good to translate those skills sometime in my career later on, I suppose, if I ever end up back overseas, because Europe's a great place, and it was really interesting to see how their systems and their politics and whatnot work within their news media compared to Australia. So, yeah, it was really enlightening overall.
And it broadened your scope, I imagine, Taylah. I find with my teaching in journalism that a lot of students really don't look beyond Mount Cootha, or, they don't really want to go beyond the Gold Coast, Brisbane divide. Did it show you that there really is a whole world out there to report on, not just where you grew up?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I took a like politics and globalization and all those kind of minor topics throughout university, so I already had a fair level of interest in worldly affairs, and yeah, it really connected those things together with me. So reporting overseas really it also allows you to reflect back onto Australia and Australia's place in the world. So it kind of gives you that bird's eye view as well about how Australia conducts itself, and we're a fairly new nation, so things like trade and our foreign relations, yeah, I could really look at that in a different light, and that was really interesting to me. So yeah, it definitely broadened my horizons, so to speak.
So would you encourage other people to who are in journalism to take that leap?
Yeah, I would definitely, especially anyone who's interested in travel as well, if you can incorporate your reporting into traveling and you know, looking through that lens when you visit other cultures and things like that, it's a really awesome experience. I would really recommend it because it does make you, I guess, assess the news and what the news does in different countries or cultures. So it's a really good experience. It will really change the way you report as well.
And you never know where those experiences might take you. Just as COVID emerged and you were able to get an opportunity, you never know what the next step from Scone might be, particularly with that overseas experience under your belt from Griffith University as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to go and do some sort of regional reporting overseas as well, just as a comparison. I think that would be my first move if I was ever to travel overseas in a second stage of my career. I would definitely aim for something more rural than going straight to a metro city or something like that. I just think it's more interesting. I think you get a lot of personal stories and a lot of individual issues out of rural and regional journalism, and I would love to really delve into that and see what that's about in other countries too, because it's already interesting enough in Australia. So I can imagine what it would be like in larger populated areas that are still considered regional. That would be an interesting next step to take.
It sounds like you certainly get that direct feedback, whether you're right or wrong. You hear about it pretty quickly when you're doing your job properly in these little publications.
Yeah, absolutely. If you've misplaced a fact or if you've done anything that's not up to scratch, I suppose, the community will definitely let you know. They will not hold back. But it's that interesting relationship as well, is that kind of communication. It provides you stories, and then it also, allows you to, I suppose, reflect to a certain extent on your own writing, because you do need to really consider what's in the community interest. Individuals can be held accountable here, but everyone knows each other. So in some aspects, you need to be careful what you write about and how you write about it. You don't want to put targets on anyone's back or, create some sort of controversy amongst the community without being very certain or sure that what you're reporting about is fair, accurate, and true. So, you do build a level of trust with the people in your community, and that also then rewards you later on when they come to you and update you about things that you might not have heard about yet. So it's like a fast-track news cycle.
I think that this story is encouraging for media lovers and media watchers on so many levels, Taylah. I mean, wonderful news for you getting one of these prize cadetships, but also perhaps can alleviate some of people's concerns about regional journalism, that these digital publications, it sounds like you really are hitting the road. You're telling me you went out and did some court stories the other day. You're doing those stories that I think a lot of people feared wouldn't happen when these cutbacks occurred.
Oh, absolutely. I think if you come and do regional reporting, especially if you do that, I guess, as a pretext to city or metro reporting, it really diversifies your skills. You have to be able to report on different things, like sports, politics, court. You have to be able to go to court and report. You will do almost bio pieces like I did with F4. You will do video reporting. You will live stream. Wherever the story takes you, you need to be able to use your skills in order to enhance that story. And regional journalism really just provides you with a wide range of skills, and that will definitely benefit you if you ever report later on in the city as well. So I think it will definitely enhance your skills. It's definitely worthwhile to really get yourself across all aspects of media if you want to be a good reporter. And I'm really just begun, so for me to say that it's already benefiting me is a big thing. So I would definitely recommend it, because there's a lot of gaps in news as well. So when you come out to regional reporting, to do regional reporting, you'll really see how much you can affect a community and how important the media is. And that in itself is a large learning curve. That's really good for any young journalist that's up and coming or starting out. It's
so true, Taylah. I mean, in the city, you're one of many voices, but in Scone, You're one of very few, and that's to be cherished and really valued by the community.
It's a very satisfying role to play. It's a little bit nerve-wracking because you definitely want to be fair and accurate. You want to do what's right as well, but it also gives you a bit of a nose for news as well. You can definitely see news as soon as it happens, and you can definitely hear news when you just talk to people at Woolworths. You can pick up a story. You can literally pick up stories everywhere when you're in regional journalism. So it's always interesting, always a new day. That's the most fun part about journalism.
And it's not just off the press release, as you say.
Yeah, exactly right. So I read a lot of media releases. You still get media releases all the time, but it's being able to go and investigate what's in the media release. That's the biggest difference. You have the time, and you have the commitment as well to really delve into anything that's being sent to you, rather than just rewriting and re-uploading, or rather than reading the Sydney Morning Herald and all these other publications and then thinking, oh, okay, we need to rewrite that and re-report on that. It's not like that here. Everything is localised, and it's always in favour of what the community needs to hear about, so that they don't miss any news that's relevant to them.
Taylah, it's been wonderful talking to you and to hear the excitement in your voice as you start on your journalism career. It sounds like you've absolutely landed on your feet in Scone and you're loving all of it. Are you going to do a little bit of, on the personal side of things, going to do a bit of travel around that region and a bit of hiking, I imagine, or horse riding?
Yeah, look, I haven't been horse riding in a very long time. It's quite cold here. I grew up in Canberra and I came from the Gold Coast, so I'm still adjusting to the winter weather. Just looking out the window now, it's quite cloudy. The fog is making me see zero tree lines, so I don't think I would go towards the mountain at this stage. But when it starts to warm up, I'll definitely go out and explore the outdoor areas, because it is beautiful here. And yeah, we have access to a lot of nature, a lot of wildlife, and yeah, I would definitely be amongst that.
Living large, that big adventure, and good on you for taking the leap into a bit of the unknown. And I bet you've already made friends and started those community networks already.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the nice thing about COVID as well is you do get to meet a lot of business owners, and you do get to get face-to-face time with anyone in the community. So you really meet everyone everywhere you go, and you make friends as soon as you're introduced to somebody. And it doesn't take long for word to get around and for people to know who you are. So making friends is also quite easy. And country people are lovely. They're all welcoming as well. So that makes it even easier. So it's a really beautiful place to be.
It sounds like the very practical emphasis of the Griffith journalism degree that you did, including that wonderful world exchange, actually has come to play really well for you to hit the ground running in a place like Scone.
Yes, absolutely. So I think Griffith University, and especially my time abroad towards the end of my degree, it gave me the confidence to really just go for opportunities presented to me in my career. And, you can't be too picky when you have opportunities. You need to take them to gain that experience, to gain that confidence in yourself, to develop your writing style. And I think regional journalism was a perfect move for me, because it's really allowed me to expand my writing skills overall, really, and all the topics that I'm writing about and the people that I'm meeting and all the different stories that I've been able to produce in a matter of weeks. Yeah, it really just shows that I'm going to be able to report on almost anything after I leave here. So Griffith really set me up for that. It gave me the foundation, sent me overseas, threw me in the deep end in a whole world that I wasn't aware of, talking about Europe, and then to come back here and then to move yet again to regional journalism. I just thought I would have to go for it. And here I am, surviving.
Wonderful. You are surviving and thriving. Congratulations, Taylah. It's wonderful to hear that regional journalism has a future with young journalists such as yourself. Thank you for joining us on Remarkable Tales.
Thank you so much for having me.
That was Griffith University Journalism graduate Taylah Fellows speaking to me from her home in Scone on Skype for this episode of Remarkable Tales. Remarkable Tales is a podcast production of Griffith University. It's produced by Nance Haxton. That's it for this episode of Remarkable Tales. I'm Nance Haxton. See you next time.